Don't worry, before clicking on this video, you have already on the FBI's radar for 20 years. China's National Computer Virus Emergency Response Center dropped a bombshell, revealing that the US has been indiscriminately eavesdropping on global internet traffic to undersea cables. In today's episode, we dive into how these cables have become a surveillance tool and why China is raising the alarm. Trust me, after hearing this, you'll never look at your internet connection the same way again. On 40th of October, China's National Computer Virus Emergency Response Center released a report exposing the US is indiscriminately eavesdropping on the global internet by tapping submarine cables. China found the evidence from US National Security Agency showing that the US has established 7 monitoring stations across the country to intercept data transmitted to undersea cables in the Atlantic and Pacific. These data were analyzed and extracted in close collaboration with FBI and the UK's National Cybersecurity Centre, enabling the US government to conduct indiscriminate surveillance on global internet users. The Chinese government also released a set of photos showing that the US installed surveillance equipment on the undersea cables, intercepting information through a special device and transmits the data back to the country. One of the key centers of this data transmission is the US military base in Guam. Du Zhenghua, a senior engineer of Cverc, said that by tapping digital signals from these undersea cables, it is possible to obtain voice data, text messages, video information, and even the passwords of social media accounts. To convert the data into readable and searchable intelligence, the NSA has implemented 2 programs known as the Upstream and Present, both authorized under Section 702, a provision of law that allows the US government to indiscriminately collect global intelligence. The Upstream program extracts data intercepted by the monitoring stations from undersea cables, creating a vast database. Present, in turn, analyzed and categorized this data. This intelligence is ultimately provided to the US government and its intelligence sharing partners, particularly the countries within the Five Eyes. According to Telegeography, a US telecommunications research firm, until 2022, there are more than 400 cables running along the seafloor across the world, carrying over 95% of all international internet traffic. Interestingly, on 26th of September, the US and its allies, including Australia, Canada, Japan, and the UK, issued a joint statement calling for the protection of the security, resilience, and integrity of undersea cables, emphasizing the importance of choosing secure providers. However, some Chinese people noted that the so-called secure provider don't exactly seem to have been chosen through any sort of fair process. Tech, whose predecessor company was majority owned by Huawei, was selected in early 2020 to build an undersea cable covered from Asia to Europe. According to Reuters, Tech's bid of $500 million was roughly a third cheaper than the proposal by the American subsea cable company, Subcom. Reuters reported that the clients of the cable verbally agreed that Tech would be the supplier of this deal, and Subcom would be the reserve in case the Chinese company pulled out or failed to deliver on the terms of its proposal. However, to secure the order for Subcom, the US government spent a large amount of money to subsidize the effort. The US Trade and Development Agency told Reuters it provided the training grants totaling $3.8 million to 5 telecom companies along the cable's route in exchange for choosing Subcom as the supplier. Meanwhile, the US Commerce Department accused Tech of attempting to acquire American technology to aid in modernizing China's People's Liberation Army. Ultimately, Tech, which had entered the bidding process purely for profit, opted to withdraw. According to Reuters, US ambassadors in at least 6 of these countries, including Singapore, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, wrote letters to local telecom carriers participating in this deal. One of these letters said that Peking Subcom is an important opportunity to enhance commercial and security cooperation with the United States. On June 26 of 2022, the White House published a fact sheet citing various upcoming infrastructure projects, including the Subcom undersea cable deal. The document stated the U.S. government had collectively helped secure the award of that contract for the Subcom. Chinese people have pointed out that what was originally just a routine business deal quickly turned into something more, as the U.S. rushed to exclude China from the undersea cable project. According to Reuters on September 18, the U.S. was urging Vietnam to avoid HM Tech and other Chinese companies in its plans to build 10 new undersea cables by 2030. Since January of this year, U.S. officials and companies have held at least a half dozen meetings with Vietnam's foreign officials and business executives to discuss the Southeast Asian nation's cable strategy. One of the people who attended the meetings said that they clearly singled HM out. U.S. officials have also claimed that choosing cable constructors with less experience and less access to critical components would prevent U.S. companies from investing in Vietnam. Justin Sherman, a fellow at the Cyber Statecraft Initiative of the Atlantic Council, a U.S. think tank, said undersea cables were a surveillance goldmine for the world's intelligence agencies. Well, this is the first time someone has so openly described other people's privacy as their own property, especially when it comes to intelligence agencies. Michael Casey, director of the National Counterintelligence and Security Center, called the U.S. citizens to share information with the public sector, adding that if you don't know your local FBI representative, you are doing something wrong. And if I was in America, probably I wouldn't have dared to record this video at first place.